Welp, here I am on YouTube. Just kidding. We're on Patreon. If you're watching this on Patreon, you're one of the ones. You're one of the ones that actually watches the series. I watch it out of sheer, I just enjoy Star Wars. I've always enjoyed it. And I even like it sometimes when it's cheap Star Wars. I'm okay with it. But here's what I like about this series, and I've said it 1,000 times. This series is like real Star Wars. This is the kind of Star Wars that it feels like more people could or can have access to, because it's less about the boops and the beeps and the Jedis and the lasers and everything, and it's a lot more about the story. And that's a good version of Star Wars in my book. So I love this series, and I'm going to keep watching. As many as Disney will throw at me. I'm happy with what they've done with the Star Wars franchise generally. Yeah, there's a few little bumps and things like that I didn't like about some of the other series, but by far I'd say the TV series seems to be doing better than the movie franchise, anyways. So I'm excited to see what comes up in this episode. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
Give it all at once to something real.
What would we be stealing?
Hey, Sammy.
Quarterly payroll for an entire Imperial sector.
Very, very calming. I like it. So he's at his mommy's, thinking about all of his life decisions. What is his role going to be? It's his...
Cyril, you're slouching. Being a leader,
I love this cereal.
Isn't something one just turns on and off. By the time you remember to sit up straight, it's too late. You might as well wear a sign that says, "I promise to disappoint you." Shame we couldn't have seen more of each other when you were flourishing. My assumption is you have no prospects for the future. And do you have even a single prospect before you?
I'll find a way.
It's kind of a strange side quest. Yeah, it just feels odd to be exploring his character, but I'm sure there's a good reason. I just don't understand what yet. Okay, he's got his kyber crystal. Kyber crystals, by the way, in Star Wars, if you don't know, are for lightsabers. I'm sure someone who's like a huge Star Wars nerd is like, I already knew that.
You didn't come with much. That plus the bad arms, pretty clear you left wherever you were in a hurry. Corporate issue. Interesting. Whose is this?
Didn't get a name.
You know what this means, don't you? Yeah, I saw your eyes go right to it.
Great head.
See, they don't know. I got no idea. So where were you?
Sipo. Youth Center.
They built a lot of cages, huh? The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Now it's our turn to do the chopping.
So that's it. That's why you're here? Revenge?
Yeah, that's good enough for now. You?
I'm here to win and walk away.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Oh, back here, right?
Driver's here.
They had their argument.
Oh, change in plan. Dad's taking me. You're taking me, right?
Clear it with her.
You're only doing it to show off.
That's just so hurtful.
See? There you go.
Go where?
That's my point. It's all about you, isn't it? It's always all about you.
It's a weird family dynamic.
That's an odd one.
One of the best navigational tools ever built.
Hard to learn.
Yes, but once you've mastered it, you're free. We've grown reliant on Imperial tech, and we've made ourselves vulnerable. The pace of oppression outstrips our ability to understand it, and that is the real trick of the Imperial thought machine. It's easier to hide behind 40 atrocities than a single incident. But they have a fight on their hands, don't they? Our elemental rights are such a simple thing to hold, they will have to shake the galaxy awfully hard to loosen our grip.
I know what I'm against. Everything else will have to wait.
You're my ideal reader.
Okay. So this is good dialogue. And the reason for it is, and are you still in here, Dave? Yeah. And David's been watching the Rings of Power with me, I think, a couple episodes, or at least watching in on my reactions to it. This is good dialogue. So this is less of one of those, like, there's a metaphor for, like, you know, this sort of, like, very, like, poorly veiled metaphor of comparing it to real life. Whereas this here, they're talking about the Imperium being this, like, or at least he's bringing this up, that how the Imperium is this thing that everyone's just gotten used to, and everyone just goes along with, and we accept it. But, you know, like, they're coming up with reasons to fight against it. And I know it's a bit of a political argument there, but the showrunners aren't inserting their stuff into it so obviously and so blatantly. You have to look for it. You have to find your own meaning from it. And that's what I like about this show is I don't feel like I'm being told to believe something. If I want to find it for myself, I can find it. I can make my own connection to it, rather than, like, the Imperium is like, you know, certain political parties, and left-wingers are these people, and right-wing. Like, I hate it when shows make you, like, create the sides for you, and you're supposed to make the connection. Like, not that you're supposed to make, they try and make the connection for you. So yeah, so far so good. I think that I like shows that don't, like, push you into believing a certain way.
Now you've done it.
Fresh inspiration, two seemingly random objects, and yet this charts an astral path, this maps the trail of political consciousness. Both systems based on truth, both navigating toward clear and achievable outcomes. Basic facts expanded.
And it's still clear he's a bit, like,
Busy day.
obsessed. Yeah. I love how they just put some horns on a sheep.
You are Imperial Private Clem. You're a sentry from the Al-Kenzi airbase transferred for special duty. Shoulders back. More.
Don't touch me. You want something, you tell me.
It's about
Wef,
confidence.
white, wef,
We belong
white,
here.
wef, white,
We're following
wef.
orders. The door's being opened as we approach. Lieutenant Gorn will be out front. He's the leader.
Just to be a prick. Yeah.
They'll soon see. Surprise from above is never as shocking as one from below.
Not too many Darnies to worry about anymore, though, eh? How many do you think we'll have tomorrow?
I don't know. It's less than 100 last time.
Still enough to smell them, right? Can you imagine this place with a couple of thousand of them?
Yes. I can.
So he's in pretty deep here, the lieutenant. He's got we've been planning this for a while.
Hey, what are you doing? I'm just moving your stuff.
Don't.
It was in the way.
Don't ever.
Okay, so I know that this would be a criticism, and this show is getting some criticism about how slow it moves, and I can understand that some people, you know, don't like it. Yeah, some TV needs to move quickly, and that's partly why I think Star Wars sometimes appeals to a certain group of people, but this is actually I guess it's just real. Instead of it's like, okay, we're going to go and heist the place and take it down and everything works out and it's wonderful. And we, they like planning to the nth detail here. And what I really like about this is that the showrunners have put enough like thought into what would go into, a takedown of a place like this. And how do we make this realistic? In thinking about everything and about some of the dynamics of the team, and like it's actually well done. It's just not like your classic Star Wars where they use the Force and lightsaber and take everything down. So, yeah, I agree. Character development is quite good. You do feel something for Cassian Andor. I think you kind of you are rooting for him, and the different dynamics in the team here. It's actually, I don't know. I really like this. So, anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Let's have a look at you.
I don't know what I'm doing. I know this. If I was them, this is how I'd do it. I'd spread it out. Never climb the same fence twice.
It's too random to be random.
Oh, yeah, they're burning it all so that no one knows, I guess.
Rebellion.
To the rebellion.
I needn't tell you how wrong you were about Uncle Harlow.
We're still back to this guy?
You never felt police work was your chosen path.
Because he knows me so well.
And whose fault is that?
Can I guess?
Perhaps you'll study Uncle Harlow with more energy in the future. Here. I told him how sorry you were about what happened. I stressed that it was a large enough mistake to be deeply educational.
Yes, I heard some of that.
Our conversation.
Your side of it? Hard to miss. Sadly, I wasn't able to study Uncle Harlow's response.
He knows how much we're counting on him.
Still, it's an odd cut to that. I'm still trying to figure out what that has to do with anything at this point. So it's such an odd thing to reference this. Uncle Harlow would really take care of you. And okay, back to the heist. Just what a strange thing to reference. I know, like it's clear the showrunners put a lot of work into this. So there's a reason. I just don't know what the reason is. We don't know who Uncle Harlow is. It's obviously his uncle, and that's his mom. But somehow, like, she made reference to how, like, yeah, well, maybe it's time I call Uncle Harlow Jewish mothers in space. Yeah, that's sort of what it feels like. Has that feel like I get that. I get that vibe. I'm sure that's kind of what they were generally going for. Yeah. So we'll see if that has any bearing on. If it doesn't have any bearing on the show, I'll eat my words and I'll say, like, okay, that was a bad choice. But hopefully it has some reason.
Lieutenant Gorn. What's an Imperial lieutenant doing getting involved with this?
What difference does it make?
Everyone else seems to know.
He fell in love with a local woman and lost a promotion. Then he lost the woman. Then he lost his taste for the Empire. Everyone has their own rebellion.
I see the gantry still unpainted. I've spoken to them about it, sir, and yet it remains undone. With an engineering officer from Coruscant arriving today and in our business. Let's see if painting it tomorrow night will make the point more clearly. Sir.
May I speak plainly, sir?
plainly and quickly.
Aldani, sir. It's not many people's first choice assignment. The thing you hear when posted to Aldani is that perhaps you'll be lucky enough to be there for the eye.
The idea of being this close and not seeing it. And I know we can't all be up there, but I fear morale might be crushed by having anything more than an essential roster down here tomorrow night.
I want it painted the day after tomorrow. I'll be here midday and I expect to see it shine.
Absolutely,
Sir.
sir.
Make sure the men know how close they've come.
He has to like put on the tough guy routine all the time, even though he doesn't believe it.
Don't move. Because you know what'll happen.
Hey, what are you doing?
There we go. Sky Kyber. He comes here with nothing but the clothes on his back and a stone worth 30,000 credits.
If you have a problem, you come to me.
Here I am.
We don't have time for this.
I need to know who I'm riding with.
There's something coming. There's a ship in the valley.
Put the weapon away. Give him the stone. You can kill each other later. We'll talk when we're safe.
I'm being paid. Paid to be here.
What?
Yeah, I'm here for the money. I'll walk away and wish you luck. But that's what it is. I don't want to walk in looking over my shoulder.
Should have told us days ago.
Maybe so.
It just would have been something else.
What's that mean?
The day before is always hard. Too much time to worry.
Maybe you're the one that's afraid.
Of course I'm afraid. But there's a difference between fear and losing your nerve. You want out of this. Make a choice. Don't use me as an excuse.
Yeah, like again, back to the whole slow moving. It's not that it's slow moving to me. It's that it's just they're building the dialogue in a way that brings you into that brings the reality of why they're all really doing this and who these people are, and you tend to feel more for people that they've spent time working on. And just back to, we've been referencing Rings of Power in the chat. It's a series that I'm extremely disappointed with, and not for the reasons that everyone else seems to be disappointed. I'm disappointed with it because it doesn't really spend much time working on any of the characters. You're just like, here's a character, like them. Here's a character, here's some music, feel something for them. And it's so clunky. And it's disappointing from my perspective, because I love that. I love the Lord of the Rings as a as a franchise, but they've butchered it. And then with this series, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know Cassian Andor. I don't really know him that well. I knew him from the previous movie, and I liked him in that one, but I didn't really know much about him. And for whatever reason, I'm actually like invested in not just his character, but some of the other characters they've brought into this series. The kind of mentor guy that gets him this job. Even the guy that's on the side that we're kind of like, why is that guy in this? I'm kind of more like curious about his story than I am in anything in the Rings of Power, it says a lot. Like, I'm more curious about this kind of side character that they've set up, who kind of failed as a guard, who's getting like berated by his mother. I'm more interested in what's happening with that guy than I am about, I would say, almost any character. Maybe not a particular timeline, but anyway, I could rant about the Rings of Power. That's my rant. Ryan likes to rant about James Corden, and I rant about the Rings of Power. But yeah, exactly. I know something about that guy's life, and that's why I actually care something about him. So anyway, back to this show. I like this show. That's a cool car too, by the way. Or vehicle, yeah.
When were you planning to tell me about this new foundation?
didn't think you'd be interested.
Why is that?
It's charitable.
What's his name?
Cloris.
Cloris.
Sir.
Do you mind taking the expressway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, even that scene, which is just a nothing scene of them having kind of a very tense argument. Even that scene there is I would say better than anything we saw back in. You go to the original Star Wars series where that's from, right? In Coruscant. I mean, there's a pretty cool chase scene in the original Star Wars when they're in Coruscant. But that felt more real. Like, what would it be like to live in Coruscant? You know, what's a lifestyle of a person living in this entire planet? This is a city. And to me, like that little scene there told me more about that life than when you look in. I can't remember which episodes it is in the original Star Wars movies. I don't know what it's like to live in Coruscant. It's kind of like aliens and ships and, oh, there's someone, let's go get them. That's about all we really know what it's like. But, we got to this guy who doesn't really remember people's names. His wife's kind of choked that he doesn't remember names. It feels like, oh, this is kind of like an actual city that you would, like cities of today, and you can connect to it more easily. So my hats go off to the showrunners who are able to pull that off really well. Well, here we go. Oh.
Okay, that should do it.
Put it down.
She wants me to tell you about my brother. What matters is they killed him. He was a farmer. Imperial prefect came in, took his land, flooded it. He couldn't bear it, so he went in a boat and filled his pockets with stones.
Yeah, I agree, Sammy. He does look like Chris Martin.
That's as close to an apology as you're gonna get.
He doesn't talk like him.
It's close enough.
It'll all be over this time tomorrow.
Or would he just be starting?
Or that?
Mm-hmm. No, that can't be the end of the episode. No. Okay. All right. Yeah, like I would say this is the first Star Wars drama that's actual drama. That, you know what I mean? Like it really is focusing on characters and exploring characters and thinking about characters a lot more. It's interesting. Even like one of the criticisms I would say that a lot of people are struggling with these days with movie and TV, they'll say things like, yeah, I can't stand how all the female protagonists are always the ones in charge. And I get that. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with the female protagonist being in charge at all, but it's pretty see-through when they use a female protagonist, and it's pretty obvious that she's the one in charge, and like you're just supposed to go along with it in a certain TV series that I don't like very much. But in this one, notice she's kind of in charge. She's a bit of a jerk to the people, but I actually think like, no, that's her character. that's the person that she is, and you kind of feel like, okay, yeah, she's in charge. And I don't even question it. I don't go like, oh, here we go, another female in charge. Whereas there are some other TV shows that is like, yeah, forced feminism, where you're like, they're just doing this because they're trying to check a box, you know. And maybe that happened when they were maybe initially starting this show. They were like, we got to make sure we have a female protagonist. But they don't focus on it so much that you're like, can we just move on? Yeah, I mean, she's got that kind of like, yeah, like you say there, Sammy, she's got a bit of a cutthroat vibe to her, and I can follow the story, and I know where it's going. So that's why I really like this series. I think I like this one more than even maybe not so much The Mandalorian, although some people like that one a lot more. But I would say this one it's in a different vein than Mandalorian, if you've seen the Mandalorian series. I enjoy where this is headed as a series, and I'll keep on watching this. I hope that they do this and then maybe renew it, because these show writers are, I think they're gifted. I even like how some of the shots feel very carefully chosen. They're showing us rather than telling us what's going on, and we really have to think about it. It reminds me a little bit of The Expanse. If you've seen The Expanse, there's some of that kind of like, they're giving information, but they're not like trying to push it on you. Yeah, there's a bit of just well thought out show writing. So cool. Well, thanks for sticking around. It's a great show. I would say, I hope it ends up going for another season, perhaps, or even if they the showrunners from this, they go, hey, people really like this, let's use them for another series or something, because I think it's great. It's good stuff. The kind of stuff I'd keep watching.